You're listening to the Femtrepreneur Show, and this is episode 43. In this episode, we're talking about what a joint venture webinar is and how you can use them to grow your business and make new friends. Yay! Hi guys, it's Mariah.
And I'm Megan, and we get asked all the time about joint venture webinars, how they work, what it even means. So I can't wait to dig in. But before we do, I just want to let you guys know that the show notes, the links, any screenshots we have that accompany this are all in the blog post and the show notes over at thefemshow.com/43 for this episode. And we have an extra special brand new freebie for you guys that you're going to love if you love this episode and want to start doing joint ventures. So stay tuned for more info on that.
I'm excited about this freebie. I actually made it for myself because I was like, I need a constant reminder of what I'm supposed to be doing. So you guys are really going to like the freebie. It is a joint venture partner tracker to track how you're building relationships with your dream collaborators, which we'll talk about in this episode. So I'm really excited for you guys to get that at thefemshow.com/43. Okay. Let's do this. So to start off, what is a joint venture webinar? Do you want to kick us off, Megan?
Oh yeah. Well, you're kind of the expert here. Yeah. Good thing I have some notes to refer to. No. So a joint venture webinar essentially is when you team up with someone else and you do a webinar together. So that's kind of the simple version of it. Mariah, one of my favorite things about this that you teach is that when you're picking your joint venture webinar partner, it should be a vertical market partner. Do you want to explain what that means?
Yeah. So when we talk about a vertical market partner, a lot of people, when we start talking about joint venture partners, they're like, why would anyone partner with you? You're their competition, right? Or why would anyone say yes to a joint venture webinar? What are they getting out of it? Or wouldn't it hurt them to promote someone else? Well, the way that this works is that when you do pick your dream collaborators or your perfect webinar partners, you want to pick people who are what we call vertical market partners. That just means that you serve the same audience, but you don't have competing products. And just know that there are tons of people in your industry who probably serve the same demographic or have the same type of audience, but in a totally different way, right? So they, for example, and a lot of times you want to look sort of like one step maybe to the left of exactly what you teach. So if you teach like a yoga class, you're not going to want to approach a bunch of other people who teach a yoga class because then that would be competition. You want to look at people who teach maybe a fitness class or a how to go vegan class or some sort of product about nutrition or something that it's the same audience that's interested in those two topics, but they're not serving the same audience with the same product, right?
Yeah, like someone who does essential oils and someone who teaches yoga, they might have an overlap in their audience. And the great thing about doing these joint venture webinars is that it does reach a wider audience, because if you're the yoga teacher, that essential oils community may not A, be sure if they want to do yoga, or B, if they are, they don't necessarily know you as a yoga expert. So it's going to like cross expose your audiences to each other.
Right. And it works good for both people. That's the thing, is this is like a win-win for everybody, and it's a win for the audience, right? So it's like a triple win, because they're getting exposure, you're getting exposure, and the audience is getting content and usually getting an offer that couldn't be made anywhere else, because you're getting this unique combination of information and products as well if you decide to do a bundle, which we'll talk about in a second. So what can happen is that you're both reaching each other's audiences, which is really good cross promotion for both of you. And one thing that you can do if you decide to is to offer a special bundle, which makes what I call like an irresistible offer or no-brainer offer. So just like in your example, Megan, if we have a yoga instructor who has like a 30-day yoga video class for sale, a digital product, and then someone who sells essential oils, which is a physical product, and you guys do a special bundle offer that literally is only available during this one time, right? It's not something that is always available because you two bundled your stuff together. It really does expire. So it creates like real urgency. And that creates a no-brainer offer because people are getting two things, not necessarily two for the price of one, but like two for less than the price of what it would cost to buy both things individually.
Yeah, definitely. And something that I want to clarify is that you are both promoting it. And there are other types of webinars where people do like affiliate webinars, or they don't both promote. But when we're talking about a joint venture webinar, we are talking about both partners both promoting it to their audiences.
Yes. Right.
Also, so apologies if you hear my dogs barking.
They're fine. This is very light barking.
Okay, good. Well, the door's shut, and I'm going to go yell at them if I have to.
No, they're fine. Okay, so we're talking about joint venture webinars. Why should you do them, right? So I just explained sort of what they are and how they work. Two people coming together with different products, but similar interested audiences that could benefit from each other's content, coming together to deliver an awesomely valuable webinar. Why should you do this? Well, this is the fastest way to build your email list because you're essentially borrowing someone else's audience and you're both benefiting from that, right? You're both like borrowing the other person's audience and getting exposure to the other person's audience. This is how you grow your list really quickly. Because when I started Femtrepreneur, I looked around and I was like, well, I'm not just going to sit here and like blog my little heart out and hope that people come to me, right? I'm not going to sit there and, you know, a lot of people, they're like, why aren't people finding my business or my blog? And I'm like, it's not their job to find you. Like, you have to go out there and hunt them down and like get them to find you. Like, it's not their job to like seek you out. You have to seek out your audience. You have to go get to where they are already hanging out and talk to them and get in front of them there. So I looked around and I saw that there were all these other people in the niche who had different products. Like, they weren't selling anything similar to what I was selling because I always focused on like product creation and digital products, and a lot of other people were focusing on social media. So I came in and was like, well, it's the same audience that's interested, right? Bloggers are interested in social media. They also need to be creating their own products. So I partnered up with all these different people. And it was basically like, I was like, look, they already have a big audience of people who are interested in this overall niche. So I can just go to where those people are already hanging out. The other thing is that when you are introduced to someone's audience by the person that they already like and trust, by the leader of that community, it creates instant trust and authority for you. So this is a huge thing that people don't realize. You cannot replicate this. You can't fake this. Like, you can't get this with a Facebook ad. You can't get this with paid advertising because it's not someone that they already know and trust saying, hey, this is my friend Megan. Like, she is the expert in XYZ. You should listen to her. And it's like a transfer of trust, I think.
Yeah. Well, it definitely makes them instantly a warmer lead. And probably one of the warmest types of leads. And 9 times out of 10, if you deliver good content on this webinar, those people are going to be a fan of yours after this joint venture webinar. So even if they don't end up buying your bundle for whatever reason, they're probably going to follow you and be a part of your community and be a potential customer for you in the future.
Definitely. So the other thing that this does, like, why should you be doing joint venture webinars? So one of the challenges when you have a product, which is something I think we've talked about before, is the challenge of creating urgency, right? So if you have let's say you have an evergreen course and you're doing a webinar once a week to promote this course, you kind of have to create urgency, and it's real because if people don't buy during the webinar, they're not going to get the bonus that you're offering or whatever. But it's also something where people maybe know that, like, you're gonna get that offer next week, or maybe she's gonna offer that next month, or at the very least she's gonna offer this product twice a year or something. So you kind of know that it's coming again. Whereas when you do joint venture webinars where you do offer a bundle where someone gets each, 2 different products put together, whether it's digital and physical or digital and service or something put together, that truly is a one-time offer. It's not marketing to be like, oh, this is just a one-time exclusive deal that will never, it's like, no, it literally will never be available again, because in your day-to-day life, you're not selling this offer with this partner. It's really just only available for 2 days and then it's gone. So it's really true urgency in a way that I think is difficult to replicate in other situations.
Oh, definitely.
It's also the best way to build relationships and make friends with other people in your niche, which, for anyone who's building their online business, you know how isolating it can be. It can be really lonely. And for me, until I started doing webinars, I didn't have a reason to reach out to anyone in my niche. It was like I looked around and I was like, oh my God, the girl looks so cool, or like I think we would be such good friends, or I love her blog. And you can say that and you can be excited, but I felt like I didn't, like, what was I going to do? Just email them and be like, hi, I'm such a fan. Like,
let's be friends.
Let's be friends. I mean, sometimes people will just say, let's have a Skype date. And like, that's fine. But to me, I felt like I didn't have a valuable reason to reach out to someone or anything. Like, what am I offering them? And I always come from that place of like, what can I offer this person? When I learned how to do webinars, I was like, I have a reason to email you, right? So I had a reason to make friends with everyone because I could be like, hey, like, let's do a little collaboration, you know, a 5-day collaboration where we do a webinar together. And I suddenly had a really good reason to reach out to all these people in my industry. And so many of them became like real friends that now I hang out with in real life, which is awesome.
That's so crazy. And I think something also that I want to point out, when you did joint venture webinars, and I think can be something that people miss the mark on when they're doing joint venture webinars, it makes it a little bit more hands-on, but is that you and your joint venture partner would create a training together.
Yes.
So I don't know, do you think everyone needs to do it for it to be a successful joint venture, or do you think it just like turns up the dial to make it like even more enticing?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. So when you're first starting out, I think you'll find that it's worth it to do these like one-off trainings where it's a unique training that you uniquely combined both of your expertise to create like a new piece of content. And the first many webinars that I did were that way, where it was a unique webinar every single week. So no one could say, oh, well, I've already seen, you know, when you see someone, they have the same webinar that they run every single week. No one could say that. Everyone would be like, wow, brand new webinar every single week. People are going to show up. People are excited. This is a unique webinar that no one else has seen before because it's combining these two expertises together. But after a while, you're going to realize that that's not as sustainable. Like eventually you'll want to get out of that. But I would say that it's good to do for the first couple times. And then once you've really sort of nailed down webinars for yourself, then you can look at saying, oh, hey, I already have a webinar that's doing really good. We could just combine our two products together and that would work really well. But you can't do that until you've tested so many things that you know what works for you and your audience.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Definitely. Yeah, basically joint venture webinars are just like they have all the benefits of regular webinars, but like 10 times that because you have the power of two people and the real urgency and that extra exposure by having a partner, and just makes everything way more fun. Like for me, that's what it was all about, was like, man, it's just like I want to be having a fun back and forth banter with my co-host, and it's going to make it fun for me and fun for the audience. And not just me talking for an hour.
I do feel like doing anything with a partner is way more fun and easier and enjoyable. Like
totally.
Recording the podcast with you, as an example, is so easy. When I had to do that one episode by myself, I was like, oh, okay, this is a lot weirder.
And it feels like a drag. It's like,
yeah, well, just it feels different. Anyways, so doing it with people, if you've never done a joint venture webinar or done a webinar with anyone else, and you might be like a little intimidated by that, don't be. You're going to love it. It is really fun. It makes the whole webinar so much easier. Like there's someone else there.
Yeah. I mean, if you kind of trip up on your words, you can like, someone else can help you. If you're like, oh, I need a drink of water, someone else can talk.
Yeah.
Which happens a lot, where I'm like, you keep going. I'm going to have some water.
Yeah.
It just makes it easier and more fun. So what we're going to talk about next is the first couple steps to getting started with joint venture webinars, right? So by now you're probably like totally sold on it. You're like, oh my gosh, this is such a good idea. Of course I want to do these. But I want to remind you that we do have a freebie that's really going to come into play with this next section when we talk about how to get started. So the freebie is this like joint venture webinar partner tracker, where you'll be able to see where you're at in building relationships with your perfect partners or your dream collaborators, people you really want to get to know more. So let's get into the first couple steps of getting started with joint venture webinars. Now, obviously we have an entire course about this. So there's so much we could say. Like, as far as I know, Webinar Rockstar is the only course that specifically teaches how to do joint venture webinars, because not a lot of people do them, and not a lot of people really actually know how they work or do them well. So not to just brag on Webinar Rockstar, but it is the best course ever. But yeah, so I want to make sure that you guys get that freebie because it's really going to help you break down everything we're about to talk about. Okay, so getting started with joint venture webinars. So the very first step that you need to do is you need to learn how to do webinars. So you actually need to learn the process of setting up a webinar. You need to know the tech stuff because one of the best things you can do, the easiest way for you to get a yes from these perfect partners that you're going to be pitching and the people that you want to collaborate with, the easiest way to get a yes is to say, don't worry about the tech stuff, I'll take care of it. That has been my secret sauce. Is the reason everyone says yes is because I make it so easy. I make it easy for them. I just tell them, I'll set everything up. You don't have to do any tech stuff. I'll make all the graphics. I'll do all the, I will do as much as I can. You just promote it and then you show up live.
Yeah. That makes such a difference.
It makes a huge difference for people to be able to say, if you went to someone and you were like, hey, want to do a joint venture webinar? Yeah, no, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to outline it and I can't set it up. It's like, okay.
Not
you
as
have
enticing.
to know that. Yeah. So, yeah. And if you're like, I don't know how to set it up, well, you can get Webinar Rockstar and then you can know how to set it up. So that's step one is knowing what you're doing so that you can confidently go to people and know that you can offer them that you can do the tech setup behind the scenes as well as some other stuff. The second step is identifying 10 potential partners or co-hosts. This is something that our tracker is going to help you do. It's a place for you to track write down the names of every person that you would like to work with or that you think would be a good potential market partner for someone that you could collaborate with. And you want to list out 10 people. Now, these could be people with blogs in your industry, what we call influencers. So people who have an audience in your industry, but they don't actually even sell their own products. Or it could be other people with products, but like I said, the vertical market partners.
Yeah. And so you can also make this in a spreadsheet if you want, but the tracker we have literally guides you through all of this. And what Mariah likes to do is print it out and actually write those people's names and then hang it up on our wall so she can see it not only as a motivation, but also a reminder. Cause I think we've fallen into the trap before of oh, let's make a note that we want to do a webinar with them.
Yes.
And then it gets lost in lost in a project with no due date, Yes. So definitely having it somewhere you can easily see to remind yourself and also see your progress. Once you start doing it, I think it's really exciting to be oh, I did 5 of these 10 already. Look
yes. It's amazing. I mean, if you look at my dream list from a year ago, it's crazy to me that I've collaborated with almost every single person. And I do think, not to get all woo-woo with you guys, but I do think there's something powerful about writing down these people's names. When we journal, I don't know if you do this, Megan, but I do this where I write down who I want to be friends with. I'm journaling.
I should do that. I don't do
that.
Yeah,
I journal my way into these friendships. And I'm I'm best friends with Denise Duffield Thomas because I love her and determined to make her my friend. And I hope she's listening so she knows. I know. But I'll be I'm friends with this person, blah, blah, blah. And I think just saying I want to connect with this person and making it real and writing it down. And like you said, having that constant reminder, I literally hang it up on my whiteboard and I have to look at it every day because otherwise like you said, it slips to the back. But I also think it's important sort of affirmation almost, the same kind of strategy where you're being reminded of it every day and you're making it real.
Yeah. Well, with any of that stuff, it's always the reminder just keeps it at the forefront of your mind. And that way, everything you're doing is kind of with that desire in the back of your mind. And it kind of influences all of your actions throughout the day.
And it doesn't have to be forced either. To me, even if I write down the 10 names of people that I want to collaborate with in the next 2 months or something, I am not brute forcing my way to oh, okay, well, that means I should email them every week and do this and do that.
Yeah,
It's to me, it's almost oh, look for the natural opportunities that come up for those 10 people. Oh my gosh, that person, I was thinking about them and they just liked my Facebook post or they just commented on my Instagram post. I didn't even know, this is my chance to connect with them, which could eventually lead to us collaborating. So always be looking for those opportunities to naturally pop up. Okay.
I love that.
So the next step after you've identified your 10 potential partners, knowing that not every single person is going to become a collaborator, but that's who you're aiming for. The next thing you want to do is start building relationships for a few weeks with those co-hosts and eventually establish first contact. So this is also part of the tracker because we have, I think it's like 6 phases that you need to move through with these people. You need to first just follow them and subscribe to their newsletter. Then you need to start engaging with them. Then you need to start sharing their content on social media. Then you need to start like some sort of contact with them. And then you can start pitching them and all this other stuff. So there's these like 6 phases that you have to go through with these people. And this happens over a couple weeks. This isn't instant. It's not like your first thing is like, oh, I'm going to be successful because I have a cold email pitch and I'm going to email them. Like you have to build this relationship over like 3 to 4 weeks. And we have the tracker is to help you do that.
And we have a podcast episode. I don't remember what number it was, but we did talk about like how we build relationships. And so that if you're interested in a little bit more strategy on how we like to build relationships with people, definitely go check that out after that. And we'll make sure the link to that is in the show notes.
Definitely. And then what is the next step?
So you'll want to email once you do make that contact and you've kind of gone through those initial stages of building a relationship with them. You do want to go ahead and email them and ask them if they're interested in collaborating. Suggesting a webinar is one way to do it. You can also, I know Mariah, you've said before, you can just ask if they want to collaborate at all.
Exactly.
And like not necessarily even say webinar.
Yeah, that's kind of, it depends on the person, but sometimes I'll just, to me, the like putting my feelers out is to just be like, hey, would you be interested in collaborating? Like, it could be a webinar or it could be like a Facebook Live in my group or something. Like they're maybe just putting out a couple suggestions, knowing that it doesn't have to be a webinar or nothing. It could be, they might be like, oh, you know what? I can't do any webinars. Like I'm on maternity leave, but I would love for you to write a guest post. And it could go to something, even if it doesn't end up in the webinar realm. But I always like to say, like, suggest a webinar. And then the actual ask, this is so important, and this is where everyone gets it wrong. The actual ask of this email isn't, do you want to do a webinar with me, yes or no? The ask is, do you want to hop on Skype or hop on the phone and see if it's a good fit, or see if there's any opportunity for us to collaborate, or I'd love to hear more about what you're working on in the coming months and how I could support you in that and share it with my audience, right? Like, who's going to say no to that? Who's going to say no if you're like, oh, I want to know how I could like promote what you're working on or what's coming up for you so I can share it with my audience? I wouldn't say no to that. But I just think it's so important for you to know that the ask is not, do you want to do a webinar? We've never talked before, but yes or no, this is your time to answer. It's like, hey, do you want to explore opportunities together? Do you want to talk? What might happen, believe it or not, is that you get on a Skype call with someone and you actually don't like them. Or you're like, or you start talking to them and you realize that collaborating with them would be difficult, or that they're not as organized as they seem, or something might happen. I mean, I've had interactions with people where I'm like, based on what she said, I actually don't think it's a good fit because like her values are different than our company values, right? Yeah, like it's not just about the audience. It's about like, is this an aligned fit?
Is it an enjoyable collaboration? I think also we said this in that relationship building episode, and I'm sure we've said it other times too, but all of this is coming from like a genuine place of building a relationship. So when you're talking about how it's not just like, will you do a webinar, nothing else? This is part of, that's kind of, maybe that's your goal, but the reality is that this is also just a relationship you're trying to build. And even if it doesn't, become a webinar right now, if you actually are genuine in wanting to build this relationship, then it could be a webinar in the future after you've gotten to know each other better and the timing is right. So again, this is no matter who you're reaching out to, the people on your wish list should definitely be real people that you're coming at from like a genuine place and not like I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
You should like want to actually be friends with these people. Not just like, oh, I think it would grow my list if I worked with you. It's like, no, it's not work. And like, trust me from experience, if you go into it with that and you're like, well, I will just, I'm willing to put my feelings about this person aside, or put my I'm willing to put whatever little thing I don't like about them aside in order to work with them to do this joint venture webinar, you will regret it.
Yeah.
Trust me on that.
Don't do it.
You will regret it. Nothing like that is worth it ever. Okay. So the next step is, once you get a yes, it's time for you guys to outline the webinar together. This is a collaborative process. You need to decide on a bunch of logistics of the webinar. This is not something outside of the scope that we're going to talk about here, but it is all inside Webinar Rockstar about what decisions you need to make together, who's processing payments, what's the refund policy, what is the bundle bonuses, what is each person contributing, and what is the monetary value of each person's contribution, and then setting expectations for promotion, because you don't want to feel like you're sending 5 emails about this webinar and the other person tweeted once, right?
Yeah.
So these are all things that we have very clear instructions. We have actually templates for things that you guys need to agree on before you agree to do a webinar together. And just like I said, if you want to learn how to do this all, it's in Webinar Rockstar. So don't fret. But that would be the next step, is actually working together, creating the webinar, and kicking ass.
And that's it. That's how you do it.
You did it.
It's already done. Well, hopefully that was helpful. I know we went through a lot of information, but we do have a blog post that accompanies this that you should definitely go check if you need to kind of redigest some of this or see it written out. And you can do that by going to thefemshow.com/43. We'll have the links to everything we mentioned, including how you can get the free JV partner tracker, whatever we're going to call it. And if you want to discuss this episode with us and our amazing community of online entrepreneurs, make sure to join our free Facebook group at thefemshow.com/community.
And if you like this episode, make sure that you subscribe to the Femtrepreneur Show on iTunes and leave us a rating and a review. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you leave a comment below so that we can chat with you. We love hearing what you think about these episodes. We need to know which ones you like and which ones you don't like. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. If you have a question that you want us to answer live on the show, just go to thefemshow.com to submit your question, and we'll give you a shout out as well. And we will see you next week.
Okay, I'm recording.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Are you recording?
Yes.
Okay.
You should always ask me to double check. You're listening to. Okay, sorry.
I was just about to cough.
I was like, oh, Megan's just about to say something.
Sorry. Okay. Now you're good.